Hey, come here.
Look, now
Hey.
we're live.
Buddy, what are you doing? Come here. What are you doing?
Mr. Dave.
We're live?
Yep.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside Music, and welcome to What the Heck? And I'm here with
Dylan
Anna
and Jacob.
and Jacob and Dave over there.
Yes.
Dave the dog is here today, doing Dave stuff. Right, Dave-O?
Yep. Being Mr. Dave. Oh, yeah, let me turn it up just a smidge here. Alright. Yeah, it should be better.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I want to
Sweet.
a little bit.
What's going on, everybody? Flipside Music, Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday in May.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice outside.
I was just today and yesterday, or well, the day before.
Yesterday was a
stormy.
little hot.
Yeah, hot and
Yesterday was a
stormy.
bit hot. Today is nice.
Yeah.
Dave-O. Hey,
You know what you're doing, bud?
buddy. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Why are you guys up there?
Yeah.
He keeps walking back
Yeah.
to their door. Hey, if Dave comes up on the stage, I'll let you guys see him. You guys can say hello to Mr. Dave-O. I don't know exactly what he's working on.
He has business to attend to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I did
what
take him
kind
out a
of
little.
business?
Yeah, what kind of business he's working on is what I'm worried about. I brought him out a little bit ago, so come here, buddy boy. Come here, pal. Come here. Come on. Good boy.
He's like, I don't know if I like this stage.
Come here, buddy. Come here. Come over here and say hello to these people. Oh, there's my boy.
Doing a harmony today.
There's my boy.
There's little Mr. Man.
There's my handsome devil. Say hello. He's like, I'm hanging on, buddy. So, what? You're getting squirrely on me? All right. You good? You found your spot? All right. So, what are we talking about this week?
Yeah, what's
Dave, what do you want to chat
do we have a
about
couple
today?
discussion
You got some
topics or
insight?
do we just have the main one?
I think we kind of just had the one.
Which
Go.
is what? What are we talking about?
Um
I'm like, I
well,
got no
Jacob
idea.
and I it just kind of started as a conversation we were having this morning, but how interesting it is that like the sound and tone of guitar and or gear is what keeps a lot of people coming back or re-engaging with their stuff. And I don't mean just like acquiring new gear, but I mean just like the enjoyment of the sound that they get from their gear. That's what keeps a lot of people coming back to guitar. Then there's a lot of people that just straight up like don't even give a shit what they sound like. You know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird, like they don't really invest in knowing what the gear does. They don't usually
I
invest in
understand
like
that bit.
dialing in their tone.
They're like, oh, it
Yeah, I don't know what just
works.
happened.
Yeah, that was weird.
Now I can make music.
Yes. Yeah, and so I mean, I find because it's not so much like neglecting one or the other, but I do find it interesting, like the people that really don't care, like as long as it works for them and it works for them and they don't have to think about it again, they'll do it. Or even some people who like objectively could use some help with it, but they just don't really care to
Enough.
learn
Well, some-
like the gear part of it.
Well,
Because I mean,
some
I think a
people
lot
are
of us.
also, I think it's their, they're like, I'm just playing at home or in the basement, and it's close enough. Nobody gives a shit. I'm just having fun trying to play AC/DC riffs or something. You know what I mean?
Like it's in the ballpark. I'm good.
Yeah, close enough. And then there's the guys that I think there's also the guys on the other hand that are like way too much into finding the most amazing overdrive or the most, over the top reverb ambient thing. And it's like, they won't even break out their guitar to play in front of their family at a campsite.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I
like-
think those are
like-
definitely the
but
extremes.
they're
yeah.
crazy,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would say those are definitely the extremes where like there are like definitely the more analytical gear guys that, and I mean like where the critiquing it or analyzing it is what they're kind of into. Because I think
Yeah.
that guy
Or
that
there's the-
version of
the
that guy
spec
exists
guy.
in every hobby.
Yeah,
or
there's
every,
spec guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's got to know the specs. Oh wow, well Earthquaker uses a box that's 147 millimeters. And I think that the Boks expansion definitely helps in the overall tonal capabilities of this reverb, makes it more ambient because of the curved top, therefore, and henceforth.
I mean, now you're getting into like Eric Johnson territory.
Yeah, and it's
Where
like,
it was I had to remove the screws.
Yeah. This is
The grain pattern of the pedal board needs to be aligned north to south.
Right.
And,
It's like, what kind of paint do they have on the box, because that'll help the tone breathe
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
What
something.
guy at the battery factory licked the batteries before
Yeah.
they left the
Yeah.
plant?
It was funny because I was watching, I ended up with a doom scroll. I was just sitting there and I started scrolling through some shit, and this dude was repairing a pergola post that was kind of effed, and it was just this weird. Number one, the post itself was like, well, who built this thing? Why would you build it like this? Was number one. And then this guy just starts in like, hey, hey folks, I've never seen this guy. Because how sometimes you find people, never seen this guy in my life. Hey, today, folks, we're gonna fix this pergola, post, and I'm gonna show you a quick technique. And he's got spray foam, and he starts putting spray foam in it, and I go, what the hell? What is he? And then, and it's really fast because it's a short video, and I go, did he just put spray foam in there? And my brain is going, what is happening? And then he takes electrical tape and starts taping it with electrical tape. And I go, and then I started listening to what he was saying, and it was the most outrageous shit in the world. He's like, yeah, well, he goes, what you need to do is this coincides with the frequency of that, which everybody knows is 88 miles an hour, and that's why we're. And it was like,
I love it when they say that.
yeah, which everybody knows is 88 miles an hour, and the whole thing was complete bullshit. Like the whole process that he was doing, because I'm sitting there, I watched the whole video and I go, what the hell did I just watch? That it's got to be a bullshit. And I watched it again, and then I realized I'm like, oh, this is complete shit. Like the whole,
he wasn't trying to help you. He's taken.
Oh, it was
yeah.
This was just completely making it up, like the whole process, and it was like, I'm like, wow, we should do this with pedals, and then and just see who catches on.
There's our tiki talks.
Yeah.
Just make it was. I watched it 4 times, and I go, this is fairly brilliant. Because everything he said, if you weren't really paying attention and you were watching what he was doing, you might think he was actually doing something that was relevant. But it wasn't, because it was electrical tape, and then he strapped bungee straps around it or something. It was the most embarrassing repair thing. But then if you listen to the words, it was a whole nother level of horseshit that was just brilliantly executed. And I think I started I think I started following the guy because of that.
Yeah.
And I was like, we should do this.
This guy's a top tier smartass.
Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant. It was totally brilliant, because I'm like, as I'm listening, and the first time around I go, none of this seems right. Until I watched it again, I go, yes, none of it is right. That's why. It was fairly brilliant. Anyway, so maybe that's what we're gonna do. So you guys watch out for that. Our new bullshit review. That's what we should call it. We should come up with a clever name for our review stuff, and just it's complete horseshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you guys name it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you'd like our call our next segment for pedal demo, and then we could just sit back and make a big pot of popcorn and just read the comments and enjoy how much people are like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, you don't know anything about pedals, man. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, sure.
He's like, yeah, I love it. I love it, Daddy. You got great ideas.
How did we get into that off of?
I don't even know. I'm just kind of. It was the 88 miles an hour. I don't know. We're hanging on to the Earth. Mothership. I don't know.
Specs guy. That's what we.
Oh yeah,
that's
so
where we
specs
are.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
yeah,
there
I
we
was
go.
just say that was because well, part of the conversation started was like over the weekend. This one dude came in, and he'd been watching, I guess, some like videos of Warren Haynes, and then that got into when you're spotting like certain players that, because like Warren Haynes is a player that obviously like, Allman Brothers type stuff, but he obviously has always wanted to have his own sound too. But he's obviously somebody that really gets into like how the guitar sounds and feels, and that's what keeps him coming back. And that was kind of the point of the video that the guy was kind of, asking about, was like, because the guy was just very unfamiliar with gear as a whole, kind of so like where to start. But it was, to me, it was one of those things where it illustrated the difference between some people where, again, like even just engaging with the guitar in different ways is what kind of keeps them coming back, and that can kind of go down that slippery slope of gear. But then you have the other guys that just like don't really care, and I guess kind of like Jacob was saying, it's really just playing music period is kind of what keeps them coming back, not necessarily the feeling they get off of how it sounds and playing off. Because to me, like, I can't really imagine the electric guitar without the ability to manipulate the sound, because like that's
do
the
all the other things.
yeah, because like that's the bit, and I know that
I have to put you down because I feel like you're falling off.
yeah.
I feel like he's falling off. You might have a good time right here. Go right there, buddy. He's like, I'm just gonna wander. I'm gonna wander around for a bit.
But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of players. You have some players like, well, because like Hendrix would be like a pretty complete package to me in terms of a guitar player. Like he kind of encapsulates all of that. But at the same time, you have other guys. Well, obviously, I think a lot of people think of the Edge when they think of using the gear to get what they want, versus like you have more minimalist players that are really just guitar, amp, and that's it. So not that there's like it's not like even a pro con thing. I just think it's an interesting thing, or from my perspective, it's interesting to think about people not being like enthralled with the sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it depends on where they kind of come from.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, like you get people that are acoustic players, and that they're fine with that's the sound. They don't need, they don't want to have a lot of extra, Oh, buddy. See?
Yeah.
Getting old, pal. They don't want to have. They're not really looking for a lot of that extra stuff. They're keeping the sandwich simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like ham sandwich, a little bit of mustard or mayo, done. And they're kind of that satisfied. Then you got to have somebody that's, they were like, well, we want to have this, we want to have that. Put layers of other stuff
constantly
on top of
tweaking
it.
or trying different things.
Because there's some people that's like, they only play acoustic, so they're like, well, I don't know, I always play in the bathroom because they get reverb. Or something like that. That's
Well, even
it's very simple.
To me, like even within genres, you have a fair bit of that, because like most death metal or thrash metal guys, 9 times out of 10, they're like maybe an overdrive, maybe a delay for something here or there, possibly a wah, but even then, most likely not. Just overdrive, amp distortion, maybe a touch of reverb, and that's pretty much all they'll use. But then you have, even within that subset, like the prog metal guys that kind of take the gear to like a whole nother extreme, because they're kind of trying to get as many textures as possible. Yeah. And so like to me, like I find that I guess those parts of gear and those parts of playing guitar, like I do find that interesting, that there are people that are just, like you said, just kind of, they find what they find. Sometimes they find it early, and that's it, and that's all they need.
And they go.
Yeah, and then you have other people that like the sound is what keeps them, or changing the sound, or even just experiencing new sounds is what.
Different stuff. Well, I think that's like bands like Rush. If you want to look at like a classic rock thing, it's like, oh well, here I have synthesizer stuff in here, and there's different elements to what they do. There's ethereal, different sounds, and all this stuff, and that makes it more interesting. But then there's guys that are like, yeah, I play like, electric, but with, it's the guitar and the amp and some reverb. And they're cool with that.
Because like in my own personal experience, like I feel like I came from a very narrow, because I was more like into metal and stuff when I was a kid. So like I came from what was particularly a more narrow gear. Like most people that are like most metalheads, it's really about the amp. That's the focal point.
Yeah.
Everything else
Yeah.
is kind of, take it or leave it. And so I feel like though for me, listening to other sounds is also what got me into other. Like for me, it was a way to explore other genres of music as well, because then I'm like listening, even kind of like I know we had this discussion a while back about like listening to some of the '80s, like some of the new wave bands and stuff, and like even just hearing the experiments with sounds with what they had is not something like a teenage me would have really been that into. But now I'm like, okay, that's a really cool, interesting use of reverb, or a really cool way to use flanger, or whatever it is. You're like, I like hearing all these different sounds. And so for me, it's kind of set me off into other genres that I might not have otherwise.
Some of it's
Engaged
just
with.
PTSD for me.
Well, yes, yeah.
For the 80s
Yeah,
stuff, I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm good. I don't need that much reverb on the drums.
Yeah. But yeah, like I
It's
said,
okay.
for me, it's kind of something that's been more like paying attention to the gear has opened up other things.
Yeah.
So, because I feel like it,
Well, there's a whole nother realm of stuff to experiment with.
right.
When you have pedals, and especially if you're starting to get in, overdrives, fuzzes, stuff like that is what it is. But when you get into the modulation stuff, your trems, delays, all the stuff that does the ethereal stuff.
Well, because it'll
You
listen
can start
to different places.
Yeah, you can definitely go, but even the pedals that are in the synth category or bring you into synth town, makes it interesting.
Yes.
Like I've done that. I got the what do you call it? The SY1. I kind of mess around with that. I'm like, there's some stuff that could be cool. I'm not recording anything, but I'm like, I could see where I could kind of use this in some aspect.
Yeah.
And then you're just 3 hours later, you're still dicking around with something, going, well, that's cool too, and then not do anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah, because sometimes you don't even have to play. You just one note will.
just go off and do its
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and I would say too, like even what we do with the Maris Monday stuff, like getting into the gear leads you into playing things that normally, like the ambient stuff, was not something I was really interested in until you start like learning how to do some of that stuff, and then like the excitement of chasing those sounds is really what ends up becoming the fun part of that. Because like you literally don't know what you're gonna end up with sometimes, and like that's a cool part. Because to me too, it's kind of like art. Like anybody who's taken an art class, like when you first start off with like just pencil drawings or charcoal, you're like, okay, this is cool, and some people stay there forever, and that ends up being they end up being really good at it. But there's also a lot of people that get into it that just opens up like a whole nother thing where they start exploring with all kinds of different mediums. And to me, like within guitar, the gear is kind of the way to explore different mediums. Because we don't necessarily, it's not a physical thing like it would be with, paint versus pencil versus acrylics versus
Right. Well, that's your
carving
input
versus
device.
yeah,
That's like
yeah.
your paintbrush.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, the guys that don't care at all about it, they're interesting to.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
think
mean.
it's
Like for me,
none of this,
yeah.
none of it's good.
Right.
Like,
well, even because like BB King, he was somebody like it was interesting to me to like hear interviews of him saying, like, because he was, as far as he was concerned, he's like, why would I play an acoustic when I could play an electric? And
Right.
for him, it was because like that was the freedom of expression was so much more open on an electric than versus an acoustic. Not that there's bad or good. I'm not really, I'm not putting like judgment. I don't really think he was either. It's just a matter of like what you end up choosing to do with it. Because like
Right.
what you can do with an electric
I
guitar
mean, he didn't
is,
use a lot of
no
anything, and to be honest, I don't use a lot of pedals. You know
Yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't use a ton of, but I like some of the modulation stuff I have to experiment with is fun.
Well, just even
But
what
it's-
you can do with an electric guitar, the phrasing, the bending, the
Yeah.
sustain, like
Yeah.
those are all things that just like an acoustic doesn't necessarily offer as much.
As much.
Yeah,
The thing is, you're gonna the sustain.
because like you as the
bits
player,
you're
you
just
might
not
get
gonna
some
have.
of that subtlety, but a lot of
But
that, yeah,
also on the other side of the coin,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things you can't do on electric that you're not going to get the same feel that would an acoustic.
Yeah, like
would
the
bring to
timbre of it. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Not, that's going to bring to the table, or how something's going to resonate or ring, or how it's going to feel. You're not going to get that on an electric because it's electric.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to have the sound that's going to be there to make that work.
Yeah. I feel like weather's happening, but then I look up and nothing's happening.
I
so.
think weather is happening. We're in a,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very odd.
Yeah.
That cloud looks like the Voodoo Labs fucking guy.
Oh, the little scully guy?
Yeah, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
kinda.
Well, from my angle, it does because it looks
Or the
like
little
it's got
electrocuted guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a voodoo doll.
Yeah,
Yeah.
voodoo doll. That's what I'm saying. It looks like a voodoo
Yeah.
doll. From here, it looks that way. Leave me alone, buddy. All right. What do you? Have we got anything else?
No, that was pretty much it. I don't know. Did anything happen in the greater world of music this week? Anything
Not that
interesting?
I can think of. The only thing I have at the top of my mind is the walrus canvas stuff, but it's
Utility.
not very interesting.
Yeah,
It's
line
just
isolator, and
utility
what was
stuff.
the other one?
It was the stereo DI box that could also be a line isolator, a single line isolator, and then the Canvas HP Plus powers.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
high current one.
That's
yeah.
for like quad cortex and
Yeah.
It has
helixes and stuff.
two things that can run at 3 amps.
Nice.
Two outputs at 3 amps. Just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janice asks, I would like to know about bass effects pedals and all-in-one thing.
Oh,
Well,
the anagram from Dark Glass.
yeah,
is the
anagram
be
from
all,
Dark
end
Grass.
all.
Yeah.
From dark grass.
Dark grass.
From the dark
From
grass.
dark
What
grass.
do you get it for?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in Colorado, so dark
I
grass.
was gonna say that
Why
one in
would
terms
it
of
be
what's
Dark Glass?
yeah.
Oh, that too, we can get it. We got a couple of them on order. I think I got 2 or 3 of them on order. One, somebody, yeah. So check out Anagram by Dark Glass, super cool. Another one, if you don't want to go as expensive, it would be like the Tech 21 fly rig, the bass fly rig, because that's got octave, fuzz, compression, all in one small pedal with a DI out. That would be a good one to play with as well. If you're looking for something that's got more of the, it's not like super digital, like menu diving type stuff. There again, you could also do that with something like LVX too, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you need out of it, yeah, it kind of depends. Because, like, yeah, there are a lot of cases actually where the LVX would cover, especially for bass, guitar, keyboard, anything you'd really want to use it for, it would cover the bases of a lot of things. But if you need more like individual effects that you'd turn on and off, that's where something like the Tech 21 stuff, or even I don't
Is there
remember.
a Boss one?
I was just gonna say that's what I was trying to remember was what the ME90 version of but for bass would be from Boss.
Yeah, they do
if
have
they
a-
make it,
although-
it's the ME90B.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something.
they do-
Yeah,
they
exactly.
do
Yeah,
have
It used
yeah.
to be the
They
50
just
or
add.
something,
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But-
do have one because we've sold one.
Okay, because yeah, I was gonna say the bass version. And honestly, a lot of the multi effects from Boss are
That's
actually
exactly
really
what it is.
good. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say most of the multi effects from Boss are really
Really good.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those. I don't know. Again, Boss is one of those things where I feel like I'm constantly having to assure people that they're good, but like they are good, and so it's like I don't know. That's one of those ones where like if you're looking for something, especially something that's pretty user friendly, like it is usually pretty tough to beat Boss.
Well, it's kind of like the GT1000 or GT1000 Core. All that stuff is good stuff. In the same category as the Helix, Quad Cortex, all that stuff. Like I put that in there because I think it's just as quality.
Yeah,
sounding.
it just ends up depending on kind of what you need to get out of it. Because I mean, a lot of them are really just they're delivering a lot of similar things. They're just kind of changing the format that you engage with it. Because like most of the Boss ones are everything's more or less on the surface, whereas like like you were saying, like some of the other ones you're gonna get into more like building out presets. Like
Yeah, doing
yeah,
deep dive
yeah.
kind of menu stuff.
Right.
The anagram has an app.
Oh, does it? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I need to actually look into it more. I remember you guys mentioning it last week.
Everything's got an app.
Yeah.
Well, somebody else just came out with something that's got an app too. Oh, Source. I think Source.
Oh
I
well,
sent it to you.
they're
Source Audio's got a
they're
famous
integrating
app.
like a different port. Yeah, so basically you can audition sounds without actually having to use the pedals now, which is pretty cool. So you're able to actually like see what other people's presets sound like without having to actually plug everything in, and so you can
That's
get an
super
idea.
cool.
Yeah.
I was mad at IK this morning because I was trying to like just use their app without plugging it in, and it kept crashing.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm like, I just want to look at the tones.
Yeah. Well, like anything where you can
Just
audition
see,
settings.
that's the stuff that makes me nuts.
Right.
That's why I'm just being an old guy, but it makes me a little nuts.
Well, yeah. Some of them are more frustrating than because like certain editors, I feel like when they kind of strip it down or keep it simple, or like let's say there's editors where there's more involved to get hooked up. Most of the time, though, I find those to be more reliable. Because like I'd say like what Maris is doing with their editor, and even going back to Boss, what Boss does with theirs. Like yeah, you got to make a physical connection, but most of the time that shit's super stable and really fast. So it just kind of depends. Because I agree, like some of those apps can be really frustrating when they like crash on you over and over or whatever it is.
I just sometimes it's just like, can we just twist the fucking knobs?
Yeah.
Do a thing. Like I get it. It's very cool. I understand, but I'm just being old.
No, there's moments
I'm
where
like,
I mean,
it'd be
no,
just
there's
nice if
definitely
we-
things
yeah.
like I even run into that sometimes.
It'd be nice if
where-
I actually had a handle instead of pressing a button that
Yeah.
then goes woo and something kicks open. You know, like because more likely than not, the thing's not going to open, and then you can't open it, and it's like, you know what would have been really good on this? A fucking handle.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a little upset with the technology this week.
But the benefit is I can't carry 100 guitar amps in my pocket.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah,
trade-off.
no, I get it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm just saying sometimes the shit drives me nuts, which is most of the time.
Yes. All right. So yeah, now to the pedals for the week.
Yeah.
Ones you can touch that have no app.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, no app.
Yeah. Both of these are nice and analog, or well, 3 with the spring. The spring's not analog, but you know what I mean.
I know what
So
you
the
mean.
focus for this week is we basically got 2 of the Benson pedals back in. We were gonna do the Deep Sea Diver a while ago when it first came out, but we ended up selling out of them so quickly we didn't really get a chance to do that. So that one is the signature pedal for, I forgot her name from Deep Sea Diver, but I'm terrible with names with that shit lately.
Miss Diver.
Miss
Mini.
Sea, yeah,
Is it
Miss
Mini
Sea
Driver?
Diver, yeah.
Mini Diver. Driver.
Jacob's getting that info momentarily. But that one is a really cool, basically fuzz, delay.
Jessica Dobson.
Jessica
That's
Dobson, there
right.
we go,
Jessica,
okay.
Jessica
Jessica
Dobson
Dobson.
Diver.
Yes.
Jessica Dobson Diver. Right. Driver.
Of the East Orleans Dobson Divers.
Dobson Driver. Right. Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So that one is actually a really cool, basically fuzz, delay, hybrid, and I believe you can change the order that they hit each other in. I don't remember where that part was, but I think is it on the inside?
I think it's a power on and.
Oh, and then yeah,
button.
that's right, yeah. But yeah, I was gonna say that one's a really cool one because throwing distortion on the back end of a delay is something that like normally everybody's used to kind of running distortion into delay. This one would be the other way around, running delay into distortion, so the repeats end up becoming, distorted, which is kind of a pretty cool pedal, and it's one of those ones that really stood out this year, I think. And then the Storkn box, hopefully I'm saying that more or less correctly. That one is basically a modified version of the Stonk box that they initially did. The Stonk box was kind of their take on a modded version of the Mark I tone bender, so like basically one of the very first versions of the tone bender. The main thing that they did with the Stonk box was they made it kind of like they do with most of their germanium pedals. It has temperature control for like the transistors so that you're getting a more consistent sound kind of regardless of like the outside temperature, which I know sounds funny, like letting your actually we do need to let this preheat. But that's what I was gonna say. Like letting your fuzz pedal preheat is
Always
pretty
make
funny.
sure to preheat.
Yeah, always make sure
Your
to
fuzz.
preheat your Benson fuzz.
Yeah. Always preheat your Benson before you get going.
Yeah.
And it was a collab with David Torn.
Yes. Yeah. And so David Torn was actually he was apparently the first advisor they had for kind of doing the first Stonk box because he's a pretty prominent user of like the early tone benders, and we were looking him up. I'll be honest, I wasn't super familiar with who he was, but he's worked with like David Bowie, Madonna, a couple other bands. Like it was pretty surprising.
Pretty extensive
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
But yeah, it looked like he was kind of their go-to guy for when they were developing the Stonk box. So for his personal one, he ended up requesting more control over like the low end. And so what they ended up doing on the Storkn box was adding a bass control, which apparently will take it from kind of where the Stonk box is stock all the way to like a thicker, more kind of blown out version, and then they also added the oscillation button / switch. That I want to see. That I didn't really want to spoil. I wanted to find out like what it did in person. So that one we're gonna just see what it happens. I have a feeling I know what it does, but I just want to see if it does what I think it does.
I want to know if you're gonna do what you.
Are you gonna? Yeah.
Are you gonna do?
Do you understand the words? Yeah.
Are you gonna do what I say? What I think you're gonna do?
But yeah, I guess we'll get into it. I guess we'll start.
And today we're using a Harmony
Oh yeah.
silhouette.
Yeah, we have this one's actually a B stock we had. It ended up unfortunately coming in sustaining some very minor surface scuffs. So we've got this one. If anybody wants, a solid guitar at a even more reasonable price, because honestly the harmonies are
Really
pretty great for what you pay. And then
Yeah, I like those
Ike's
a lot.
playing a used SG that came in recently. We'll see if he continues to use it.
Yeah, which may or may not be on, which may or may not make it to the website.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a, I don't have an SG, so.
And with the Bigsby, that's pretty unique.
It is. Yeah,
I don't
cool
know,
little addition,
I'm
but-
still, the jury's still out
Oh yeah.
on the Bigsby part of it. I just feel like it should be maybe Bigsby less.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though.
And everybody's like, but there's going to be holes in the top then. I'm like, oh, fuck
There's
Yeah, there's already
there's
some
already
holes.
holes
Yeah.
in the top.
There's 2 holes already from the other thing. But you guys know me. I'm like,
Yeah.
none of my guitars are pristine.
Oh, I forgot we didn't split this week. We'll figure that out next week. All right. You ready?
Sure. And what are we using for delay here?
That is-
it's
yeah.
in the,
That's what's in that
It's
one?
delay and fuzz. Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember seeing delay pedal. Oh my god. What's going on?
I think in this mode the echo is before the fuzz.
Right. Which is that's how she apparently that was how like she set hers or wanted hers, but you can reverse them. I think it's actually cool because again like
It sounds cool.
having the distorted echoes is pretty cool. I was gonna say you can probably hear it better in the headphones.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can also do some gated stuff with it. Obviously, I haven't really done that control yet. Just kind of pulls the fuzz down a bit. You can also obviously do the chip bias thing. Oh, is that? I forgot what that is.
Is that running on its own?
No,
Or is that you doing the thing?
yeah, I was doing the, like if you hold it and then,
Oh, that's kind of cool. Even Dave woke up from that one. Dave's like, what the fuck's that, man?
it's like, was that necessary? Yes, it was necessary. Yeah, it's a really cool.
It has a wild amount of feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice it doesn't really clash. Which is nice, yeah.
right into the scorpions.
Oh.
Right into the zoo. I know there's a lot of territory in there to
It
explore.
is, yeah. Well, and it's cool that you can kind of use like the delay more heavy or the fuzz more heavy.
Yeah, because there's a lot you can, and then just being able to obviously blend a little bit, because that feedback gets real touchy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You could blend that.
A lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wake up!
A little bit of clipping there. Sorry. See, what's cool about these is like it should be kind of overdriving on the bridge and then fuzz on the neck. Oh, interesting. It's more like a. That's cool. Yeah, it's interesting. So the filter and trim. So like trim's more or less gain. So like all the way up is kind of where like the stonk box. That would be where you're where like the original.
To be honest, I can't read it. There we go.
Oh, because of the hammer.
Hammered, man.
What's that?
That is like one of the best looking pedals.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
cool.
is,
It's just
yeah.
I can't see it for sure.
What? Oh, Dave.
He's all right. I think he's just up and walking. Took himself to the
I don't know where the little rogue note came in. Yeah. But that's what I like about like their take on the tone benders. Like it does the classic thing where it's like fuzzy on the neck, but overdrive on the bridge.
Here, let me give her
Sure.
a little bit of a whirl. This thing's darker than that for sure.
higher output pickups. It's definitely got a little more range to that bass control. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that's a really good fuzz. Yeah,
I think it sounds
sounds
pretty
good. Especially that works really well with that guitar.
Yeah.
Green means you're good to go, by the way. If your preheating has worked. If you've allowed for your 3 to 4 minute warm up period.
Then you're good to go.
Yeah.
And let the people know that if they want one of these, they should get them fast.
Yeah,
They'll
because
probably
both
disappear
both of
quickly.
these are somewhat limited, so yeah, limited quantities, I should say.
Yes.
This one actually wasn't even open to dealers when it first came out, so that's why we kind of wanted to bring some attention to this one, because like the Storkn box is their normal production one. This one was a little more of a limited run, and I don't know how long they'll keep doing it. It's really great though. I was gonna say the Storkn box was already amazing, so that's just even better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
it's like
sounds-
$10 more. So
I think they both sound pretty killer.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Last part of the plug.
All right, go watch our buddies over at Texas Toast Guitars. They'll be streaming next, and then after that, I think they got a reveal going on this week because they had an SG class actually.
Oh, it's an SG
And
call
then
weekend,
after that, go talk to Dylan Talks Tone. So that's the thing. Go do the thing. Go have some fun.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe if you're brand new here. We do this every week, and we put out other stuff too. So that's it. I'll catch you guys on the flip side.